How's it going, everyone? So, PVZ Heroes has gotten a balance change, so I gotta say, this was not on my bingo card for 2024, just randomly getting a balance change. You know, the funny thing is that I was literally in the middle of a match, and my game crashed, and my game crashed in the middle of a match, and then when I opened PVZ Heroes again, it force updated on me, and now I have the balance changes, which is sad, because... Alright, we're gonna get into the balance changes. First of all, Galactic Cactus, 2-1 instead of a 2-2. Good, I like. Galactic Cactus was just auto-include Guardian card. I really don't like the auto-include Guardian cards. They are my worst enemy, I hate them. Galacta having 1 health doesn't really make that much of a difference. Because the main thing is that it's 3 damage to 1 thing on turn 1, and then it's also bullseye, so it's aggro, and it splashes the board. The difference, though, is that this is not going to be able to trade into space-time anymore, and teleportation zombie, and I think that's going to be really, really helpful for the zombie side. I don't know, I think the main problem with Guardian cards is just how they work together in general, but the other cards are also nerfed, so that's good. Gardening gloves. Move a plant, conjure a trick. So we nerfed gardening gloves. Gardening gloves was overpowered, everyone. Everybody knows gardening gloves is one of the top cards in the game. What? Why are we doing this? Why are we nerfing gardening gloves? I don't understand. Look, the trick conjure. Beta Caratina. I don't have Beta Caratina, but Lightspeed Seed was a bad card because it conjures 2 tricks, and the tricks are unreliable. You can get Walnut Bowling on turn 1. They're just not good with your deck. So why are we adding that downside to what was already one of the worst cards in the game, which is unplayable? I don't understand this change at all. I think that Gardening Gloves should be able to move a plant or a zombie. It's just not good, and now it's even worse for some reason. Alright, Photosynthesizer. Now costs 2. I'm not sure, actually. I think that this is a good change, because Photosynthesizer was just automatically included in every single Guardian deck with any hero. The +2 health and the Conjure is very, very good. But now at 2 cost, there's a lot of combos on turn 2 and 3 that you can't do anymore with this. Namely, Photosynthesizer Triceratops would just be 3 cost 2/5, conjure a card, and it grows every turn, which is very balanced. 3 cost 2/5 bullseye, it keeps growing. Thank you, PopCap. It's about time that got a nerf. The other problem with this card, obviously, Triceratops, which we'll get into, is Holoflora, which would be, 3 cost, draw 2 cards. It would be a, 3/5? So, 2 cost, 3/5 bullseye. Very fair and balanced, but overall, I think the Photosynthesizer change is good, because essentially, there would be no situation before where you would get Photosynthesizer and not want to use it. I think it's kind of scary that the 2 cost is now going to be a liability now, especially that, the Conjure was the trade-off of this card. So you might conjure a card that's very bad, but also it makes it unreliable, because you could also conjure something like Banana Bomb in a Guardian deck, and you play a zombie with 2 health and you're planning on protecting it, and they just Banana Bomb it, and that would suck. But also there's some Galactic Gardens plant cards that aren't the best, and that could be a liability. I think this is going to be very problematic, but some decks will still run this. I think it should say that a plant gets 3 maybe, or 1, 2. I'm not sure. Anyway, Triceratops 1/2, good change. I like that. I hate Triceratops. Triceratops was the most overpowered card in the entire game by far. People were saying things like, "Oh, Conman's better. Oh, fruitcake. Blah blah blah." No. Triceratops, 2 cost 1/3, keeps growing every single turn. Bullseye. Roar, just very, very overpowered card. And if you play normally, like the issue with Triceratops is that if you played normally, you would just have like a 2-cost 6/7 on the board if your opponent couldn't deal with it, which is bullseye and growing every single turn, which is just not acceptable stats for a 2-cost. And also, you wouldn't really be able to trade up with this card as a zombie, right? Like, you would be able to bolt it, but that's a superpower, and this is a 2-cost card, and you have to save a brains for it. Or you could fruitcake it, which is a 2-cost even trade, but you would have to save your brains for it. It's a powerful removal card out of hand, and your opponent conjures a trick. I mean, conjures a fruit. So, yeah, Triceratops was an insanely overpowered card, best card in the entire game, except for maybe Click Peas. It was probably tied with Click Peas. I was so sick of hearing people saying, oh, Triceratops isn't that powerful because you can remove it. No. Extremely overpowered. I like the 1/2. Honestly, a part of me wishes it was a 0/2 or a 1/1, just because of how insanely good it is. And this should be Mega Grow, by the way, because Mega Grow is what growing is. I don't think that Guardian should have access to what is essentially a Mega Grow card. But whatever, only so much you can do. Marine Bean. Where's Marine Bean? Do I not have Marine Bean? Oh, it's here. 3/3. Okay. I don't know why this card is Guardian, by the way. I always thought this should be Smarty, but sure. This does not fit in the Guardian class at all, but the balance changes obviously did not change that. +1/1 for every other amphibious plant. Yeah, continues. It just has extra health now, which is good. Yeah, not much to say about that. Marine Bean, underused card. I don't think it was as bad as the usage rate would suggest, because nobody would ever use this card. I just think it was bad, and now it's okay. So, it's good. Primal Walnut got a nerf. I don't know what to think about this. Deadly, of course, would kill it anyway. The 8 health versus 9 doesn't make that much of a difference. Actually, it kind of does, because I play Trick Mech a lot. I play this deck. Let me show you. Sorry, give it a sec. Z-Mech, obviously. Where's Z-Mech? That was embarrassing. This is my second Trick Mech deck. This one was the first one that I made. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of situations where you have 4-attack Frenzy, and the difference between 8 and 9 could make a difference then. But on the other hand, like, you're committing 3, right? I don't know. I think it's gone from an A-tier card to an A-tier card. So I'm fine with its change. I mean, of the cards that I wanted to be changed, Primal Walnut just was not one of them. But what are we gonna do, right? Spikeweed Sector, 3 cost. Terrible. Spikeweed Sector was a decent card. And the issue with Spikeweed Sector, of course, was that the zombies could just cover it, and now that issue is even worse. So I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why, like, at 3 cost, this isn't even that good if the zombie player doesn't cover it, but it's just even worse. It was okay. 2 cost, 2 damage. I think it was underrated. But, like, nobody used it, and I play zombies, so I would know. Nobody used Spikeweed Sector, basically. So what are we doing? Why is this 3 cost? Not viable at 3 cost, I gotta say. Like, D tier right now. Maybe that's... yeah, D tier. Mirror Nut. Okay. Bullseye, when your nuts get hurt, deal 1 damage. I think that's how the card should be. Anyway, I don't know why this just has 11 health now. This is going to be very oppressive. 11 health? You're just not going to be able to deal with this. You're going to have to use Rolling Stone Weed Spray Deadly, which is... the prevalence of those are going to make nut decks worse. So I think this card became more unbalanced. Obviously it became better, right? But also more unbalanced. I think just leaving it at bullseye and making it do 1 damage was good enough, to be honest. Maybe it could do with 9 health, because it had 8 previously. 11 is just, like, what are we doing? Prickly Pear. 5 cost 0, 10. Team up. 1 hurt. Do 2 damage to the zombie hero. So it's become pre-buff Mirror Nut, but worse, is what I'm hearing. Terrible. Pre-buff Mirror Nut, but worse. That's all I gotta say about that. And it costs 5. And it doesn't have any removal semblance that it could have. If they were gonna do anything to Prickly Pear, I think they just should have had it be 3 cost or something. I don't know what this card is now. They just completely changed the card to something that's bad. Smacadamium. It's this, right? Yeah. 4/5, nuts get 2 health, so they increased the health of this by 1. The problem with this card was not the health, the problem was that it costs 5 and has 4 attack. Okay, sure. Like, I don't really have many thoughts on this. This card is not going to be good. It wasn't good before, and it's not going to be good now. The 1 health difference is not going to make a difference. Tough Beats, where's that? That's here. Plus 1/1 for each other plant and zombie. I like this, that it has 2/2 now instead of 1/1. Wait, no, it used to be 6/1. Oh, I was thinking of Super Fat Beats. The Super Fat Beats is what, a 5 cost? I think it's Mega Grow, right? Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna look now. But, oh god. Instead of 6/1 that gets 1 health for each, it's just 2/2 armored that gets 1/1 for... I don't know about this. Okay, in Guardian, it's gonna be good, because you're gonna have a lot on the board, and I don't know. This feels like a nerf, to be honest. Like, the attack is nerfed so much that the health difference is not gonna... like, at 6 it was... Why are we nerfing Tough Beats? Okay, alright, whatever. Gravitry, untrickable. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I think Gravitry was already underrated. And you would need to use tricks on this, like Rocket Science or whatever. How are you going to remove this without, like, Deadly or something? I don't know. I think this just unbalances the card a lot. I think it was fine where it was. If anything, maybe it could have an extra health, but it already didn't die to, like, Fruitcake and whatever. Excuse me. Hot Lava costs 0. Still not going to be good, but it costs 0. Sure. There's, like... I can see situations where this would be okay, where the 1 sun difference is going to make a difference in your play, but I don't see situations still where you would actually want to run this in a deck. Because, like, Hot Lava, Mirror Nut was already a combo, but it wasn't a good combination, and that's not because of the stats of the cards, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe I could be proven wrong about this. Blooming Heart. Why? Why is this a 2/1? It was fine as a 2/2. It was not overpowered. Blooming Heart was not overpowered. It gets Bungee Plumbered. It's a solid 1 cost card. Why is Blooming Heart getting nerfed? Look, click P. Not nerfed. Blooming Heart nerfed. What? Like, what are we doing? This is not a card that needed a nerf. There, like... Was one of the devs playing zombies and died really badly to Blooming Heart? Even if you're gonna nerf this card, the health is not really the issue. It just makes it more unreliable now. Like, I don't get it. It dies to Conman now, instead of trading. Puffshroom costs 1. Garbage, like, just horrible idea. Horrendously bad. This card is gonna be useless now. Puffshroom was a good card. It was not a overpowered card at all. And I say this as a zombie main, so I think I would know. It was good in, like, Pine Clone decks. The issue with, like, the drawback of Puffshroom was that it's a card out of hand, basically. So it kind of gives you card disadvantage for a 1/1. But the 1 cost is just very, very bad. I saw someone on Reddit saying the funny thing now is that Puffshroom is the only card in PVZ Heroes that costs more in PVZ Heroes than it did in the original game, which is funny because like usually like P Shooter is like with 25 Sun meta, but Puffshroom was 0 in the original game. That's pretty funny. But yeah, this is very, very bad. Invasive species, 2-1-4 instead of 3-2-4. I like it. I actually really like it. I think it should be a 2-3 because I think you should be able to play this dry and not have it be horrible. But I like having the potential to have a 2-cost 4-4 if it's in an environment specifically. I really like this card. Yeah, I like the change. Seedling, let's go. Let's freaking go, guys. Seedling's an 0-2 now. It doesn't die to literally everything in the game. Now it just dies to literally most things in the game. Let's freaking go. Seedling needs to also not transform into cards that cost 0 or 1 or even 2. Like, that's the main issue with Seedling, is that even if you get it to live, you could also give this team up and still have it be 1 health. This is not the issue with Seedling, but, you know, look, Seedling was a completely unplayable card, which could have been fun, and I welcome any positive, like, buff to this card. So, this is not the worst change in this update. Wild Berry. Anti-Hero 2, excuse me. Okay, this is... Look, people are saying that this is overpowered. I think that this is now very good as an aggro card. It already was fine as an aggro card. I don't know. It depends on the treatment of other aggro cards, obviously, like we saw with Blooming Heart. But 2-cost 6-1, that's a little scary now. I think that the base attack of this should be nerfed to 3 if we're going to do Anti-Hero 2 as well. But this is not a horrible change. It's just going to be very scary. You're going to need to play around this specifically. The randomness is the drawback, so if you clog lanes, like... But I think that the drawback with the anti-hero should be that the base attack is 3 now. Because Wildberry, despite being an aggro card, also, you could front something with 4 attack, which would actually happen a lot more than you would think, and it would trade with it. I mean, you wouldn't, like, front it by playing it, but you would move it into there. Alright, Sizzle. Oh my god. This is gonna be very, very scary as a zombie main. 5 damage for 3 sun. This is gonna be... I think this is overpowered, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, Sizzle originally was just unplayable, so... So this is essentially adding a new card, in my opinion. This is not changing a card, because Sizzle already was just not a card that anybody would ever use. 3 cost for 5 damage, man. That's very scary. This is, I think, the strongest plant removal in the game now. I mean, we'll see the other plant removals now, but this is probably going to be the strongest one. I mean, it's 1 more cost than Berry Blast for 2 extra damage. That really makes a difference, because... a weakness of Berry Blast is that, one of the only weaknesses, is that it couldn't deal with like 4 health minions. It wouldn't be good, but I don't know. I don't like this. This is scary. This is... It looks like a card that's going to be auto-include in every single Kaboom deck. We'll see. Velociradish Hunters. Let's turn to Velociradish Packmate. Alright. Look, this is not going to change the balance of the game. I guess, like, when you look up in the decks, like, Hunt, it's not going to show it. Who cares? This is really a problem that we needed to go and change. Okay, I mean, Pac-Man also, like, suits the card more, because it doesn't even have Hunt. Alright. Zapricot. Thank God they nerfed Zapricot. This was a really oppressive card. Said nobody. Zapricot is not a good card already. Why is this a 4-1? This is very bad. This just dies to Trapper territory for 3 cost. This is... Ah, man. Zapricot, not a good card. Already not a good card. Now it's worse. You know what I think? Is that, like... A lot of these balance changes got leaked before. And I think a lot of them target aggro Solar Flare, because the janitor who works at PopCap is a Fry 'em Up fan, and Fry 'em Up, back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in the day, he deluded everybody into thinking that Aggro Solar Flare was the best deck since sliced bread, and Aggro Solar Flare is just not a great deck. It works sometimes, but in my experience, both playing it and playing against it, it has like a 40 to 60, it has like a 50% win rate, like maybe a little bit higher, but it was not like, oh, it's the best deck in the game and it's a budget deck. Look, guys. So why are we nerfing this deck even more? I mean, like, Wildberry obviously is buffed, but like, Aggro Solar Flare was not a great deck. I'm sorry, it's just not. I like, what Fry says is, oh, it got a lot of people to Ultimate League now that they have never gotten it before. Okay, you can get to Ultimate League with any competent deck, basically. The thing about Aggro Solar Flare is that it's a competent deck, which I guess without guidance, a lot of people don't know how to make. So, Aggro Solar Flare is a deck. It's not overpowered, it's not one of the best decks in the game. If you look at the meta in the game, Aggro Solar Flare is not even there. It's not even a meta deck at all. The meta decks are like, I don't know, like Rose Control and Aggro Grass Knuckles, and like some heal with like Walnut or something. Those were the meta decks for plants. Obviously there's others for zombies. Aggro Solar Flare was not one of them. It's not even like the best Solar Flare deck, so I don't know what we're nerfing Zabricot for. Come on. Alright, Fig. I don't have Fig. Wow, they really haven't had Fig as an event card recently, huh? Yeah, I don't have it. End of turn transforms into a random plant that costs 1 more, keeps the ability. Okay. Honestly, okay. I don't see why this is Bloom class, in the Bloom class, excuse me. But this looks like a solid card now. And Transfiguration, unfortunately, was not the best card, because it's a 4-cost card that, when hurt, turns into a button shroom. And that was the problem with the card. So my like idea of how to change this card, if I was able to change it, was to make it a 4/4/8 or something, and when other plants are hurt, transform them, because it's just too easy to remove by itself. And also, like, even during the attack phase, if this is in lane 3, it gets hurt and it transforms into actual garbage, and then it doesn't even transform the plants in lane 4. So I think that's the issue with this plant. This is just a completely different plant now, but like the ability now is actually pretty good. So I think Old Transfiguration should be in the game, though. I think they should have just added this as a new plant, but whatever. Pomegranate, that's a 5-cost, right? Yeah, it's here. Make seedlings here and next door when destroyed. Okay. This is not gonna be great. It's gonna be okay. This is gonna be playable, which is all that the card needs to be. I like it. I think this always should have been the change. I like it. And also, if seedlings had team up, it would be good, but this is good. Lava Guava costs 4. Oh man. Interesting. Very interesting. So this is going to be small removal. I peeked ahead, by the way, and I know that a lot of the buffs for zombies are like huge zombies. So Lava Guava is not going to be good against them, but it's going to be good against cards with 2 or 3 health. And at 4 cost, it's going to be good. It's going to be an A tier card instead of being like C- tier. So the issue, of course, is that like berries are just not going to be a thing anymore, because why would you need to play like Strawberry and Sergeant Strongberry like for 1 damage field clear, Sour Grapes for 1 damage field clear, Berry Blast for 2 cost when you have this? So I think this kind of shoves berries further into the meta. I think that Strawberry should have 3 health again. I think that Sergeant Strongberry is fine where it is, honestly. The reason that I scrapped both these cards is that they scrap for their cost, so it's essentially just a free other 1,000 sparks. And by the way, funny thing is that they didn't remove these sparks, even though, like, these were nerfed, like, 5 years ago, I think. I think that's barely even an exaggeration. And also, they didn't do the sparks for their costing for the nerfed cards, which is kind of sad. Poison Oak. That's this, right? Yeah. Oh, let's go! 10 gems! Alright. 5-6 instead of 4-5. Okay. Alright. Unironically, that's fine. It's gonna have 10 attack. It's gonna be very scary if you can do Captain Combustible, because, like, Poison Oak bonus attack. Very scary. It's gonna have Dandelion synergy, actually. Dandelion King synergy. Kind of, not really. I think the difference between 9 and 10 attack is actually gonna be very good. I think Poison Oak was a card that was slightly too bad to be very viable. I always saw this card as having, like, huge potential. I think the 6 health instead of 5 is a little bit overkill, but I'm not sure on that statement. Alright, continuing on. Mega Grow. All the bananas are now just fruit? Like, why? Why? This is gonna be heavily nerfing Banana Peel, because now there's just a larger quantity of fruits that it conjures. Also, what's going to be funny is that, like, Fruitcake is now going to be able to conjure Banana for your opponent. I don't know, man. Like, did Banana Peel really have to be a 2-cost card? What is this? Banana Peel was an underused card. I think it was underrated. The drawback is that it conjures a banana, and that's unreliable. And now it's even more unreliable in its conjures because there's more cards that it can conjure. And it costs more, so just bad card now, like very bad. This looks like it's gonna be like Gardening Gloves tier. Black Eyed Pea, 2-2. Oh man, I really don't know what to think about this, man. Look, I'm a zombie main. I play zombies a lot. Black Eyed Pea is a very good card against me, so as a zombie main, my bias obviously is to say, yay, I like this. And, like, look, Triceratops was insanely overpowered. Black Eyed Pea was very strong. Black Eyed Pea was high A tier, maybe even S tier. But in my opinion, there needs to be cards like this that just punish tricks like that. And Black Eyed Pea, the difference between Black Eyed Pea and Triceratops is that for Triceratops, whenever the plant player plays the game, it's just extra boost. Black Eyed Pea you can at least control as the zombies, right? And you can remove this because you get your tricks value, and then you can, like, play your deadly or whatever. You can deal with this when you need to. You don't have to save brains to deal with this, because you know whether or not you're going to be needing to deal with it that turn, like if you're going to play a lot of tricks. Very strong card. I don't think it should have been nerfed like this. I don't like this. I think that zombie tricks need a very strong counterpart that is Black Eyed Pea. Why is Click Peas not nerfed? Look, if I was gonna nerf like 2 cards in the game, Click Peas would be one of them. Click Peas is tied for the best card in the game. I saw someone on Reddit saying, oh, Click Peas isn't that strong. It has some high roll potential, but it's not that strong just because it has high roll potential. Click Peas, look, if you want to run a deck with 40 cards in it, they should all be Click Peas. The best starting hands in PVZ Heroes is 4 Click Peas. You want to get as many of these as possible, and you want to play them as fast as possible. If that's not the definition of an overpowered card, I don't know what is. Also, like, in-game, you play this, and it's a 1-cost 2-2, and that's fine. And then you play a 2-cost 3-3. 2-cost 3-3 is already overstated, but once you play one of them, you have 5 of them in your deck. But also, it buffs the first one, so... Listen to this, guys. 1-cost and a 2-cost card. 2 3-3s on the board. Very, very, very not fair. And then if you get a third one, which happens more often than you might think, it's just 4 4s on the field. Every single card that Every single time you play this card, it's going to be overstated, and it's going to buff the cards that are already on the field. This is not good. I mean, like, it's not good for the game. Obviously, it's a very good card. This should have been nerfed. I don't know why they're nerfing, like, Zapricot, but not Clickpeas. What is going on? Alright. Half Banana, costs 2. Horrible. What? Half Banana was not a card that was used a lot. Why? Look, the pool of, like, fruits is bigger, but the appeal of Half Banana is that it's a 1 cost 2/2, which is even stats, and it buffs your hand, kind of. Why is this a 2 cost? At 2 cost, this is not playable. Like, you're wasting your turn 2 play on Half Banana. You're wasting your turn 2 on a 2/2. Not good. Not good, guys. If you're gonna make this a 2 cost with the justification of, okay, it buffs a lot more cards, then this needs to have more health or more attack, because this is very understated right now. Typical Beanstalk. It also gets +1 attack, 1 health. I think the issue with typical Beanstalk is that it needs to be played next to a leafy plant, and the leafy tribe is not good. So I think this should just say when played next to a plant, this conjures a leafy card. The 1 health is going to make it not able to be, like, bolted, which is, like, a main counter to this. Like, I'm a Trick Mech main, basically, so bolting typical Beanstalk on a few occasions that it is played is not fair to the player who's playing it. So the 4 health might be good, but the when played next to a leafy plant restriction is just too much still, in my opinion. Podfather, I skipped over that, didn't I? Well, let's go! I'm getting these 10 gems. I love this update. Wow, my dog in the background is really yelling. Alright. Podfather, 2/2/3. I mean, 3/2/3, sorry. The 3 health is good. Usually, you would just not have an opportunity. Usually, you would just not have an opportunity to play this on the board, because the 2 health is really a liability. It doesn't die to Bungee, but I think the more important thing is that it doesn't die to 2 attack minions on the zombie side. So I like this change, yeah. But on the other hand, with like Black Eyed Pea being nerfed, P-Tribe, we'll see what happens to the P-Tribe. Oh, speaking of Cosmic P, 4 cost! Oh my goodness gracious. 4 cost. This is a nerf. Look, they added 1/1 to its stats, but 4 cost? Very bad. The 2/2 double strike is not great, because like 2 attack at like this late into the game, 2 attack is gonna be fine. As a zombie player, you're not gonna really want to remove this, because charging your block meter this late into the game is actually gonna be overall good still. It just should have been, like, this should have Bullseye, to be honest, to deal with the problem. And it, I don't know, 4 cost conjure a P. Really? 4 cost conjure a P shooter with double strike. Let's freaking go. This card is not good, and it wasn't because of the 1/1, even though, like, okay, it charges block meter and whatever. This is not good, and now it's worse, in my opinion. Alright, Potted Powerhouse. It's now a 4/4. Okay, I like this. I was actually about to, like, make a Potted Powerhouse deck. The issue with Potted Powerhouse is that it only gets to, like, a 5/5 or a 6/6. And for 5 costs, it's just not good enough. But the 1/1 buff, I think, is really going to help it. Another thing that this does is that if you molecule a 4 cost, now you don't get a 5 cost 3/3. And that really, really sucked. Like, let's be honest. Moleculing into a 5 cost 3/3 was very demoralizing. So this makes it not as bad anymore. Maybe this can be playable now. I like this change. Whipvine as a 6/5. Okay. I don't have much to say about this. This is fine. The ability still is not the strongest, but okay. I mean, like, I guess they had to kind of focus on amphibious now, so maybe it can drag zombies out of the amphibious lane, and that'll help. Maybe. At 5 cost, I don't know. I think it's still not going to be great, but it's going to be a little better now. Bamboozle. Ooh, 6-6. I mean, 6-5 instead of... I mean, it is a 6-6 instead of a 5-6. This is not going to make a difference. The one attack, it's still going to be very bad. This, in my opinion, should just not have plant evolution. I think it should just draw 2 cards when it's played. Drawing 2 cards for 6 cost is not a big ask. It should not have the downside of being also plant evolution. I don't know why it's plant evolution. It makes Maul kill worse again, but you know, it has 1 extra attack now. Whoop do you freaking do? Super fat beats. Oh, it's 6, yeah. 4-4 instead of a 3-3. Okay, still gonna be very bad, in my opinion. I'm just trying to think. What's the situation where you can get this to 9-9 if it has 5 other things on the board now? Kind of doable. Okay, this is not going to be played often, but it's going to be played a little bit. So I like this change. Smarty, Laser Cattail, 2-2 instead of a 2-1. Does not change the fact that it gets bungeed and lightning bolted, and it's still not going to be great. But it's going to be a little better. I like that. Lightning Read. They buffed Lightning Read, everybody. Still a splash damage 1 for some reason. I don't know why. I guess splash damage 2 was just a little bit too much. Some cards just should not be good. Some cards... The 2 health does not buff this card. Let's be real. Nobody's going to be running this. When you get this from Molecule now, or from Beta Caratina Sig, it's not going to be disastrously bad. So there's that. I mean, look, this is not a negative change for the state of the game, but we're buffing Lightning Read. So Magic Beans. 5 Beanstalks into your deck instead of 4. I think this should just do 4 and draw a card again. Or if that's overpowered, it should do 3 and draw a card. The issue is that you just waste a card, you waste 2 sun, and you waste your turn, and you waste your life. The issue is not the number of Magic Beanstalks in your deck, in my opinion. But, okay. It's better now. Mayflower. Yes, love it. Mayflower was one of my favorite cards. Just out of concept. It was... I liked the card even though it was not good. It no longer dies to Bolt and, I guess, Wrath. Still dies to Plumber. I like this. I like Mayflower. I like buffing Mayflower to 4 health. Actually, I was thinking, like, if I was gonna balance the game, I probably would have done this change. Finally, the moment you guys have all been waiting for. Where is it? Where's Bean Counter? It's... Did I recycle it? Where's... Bean Counter is a 5 cost, right? No, it's a 4 cost. There it is. 4 cost 1-1, ladies and gentlemen. 4 cost 1-1. This just dies in Total Eclipse now. 4 cost dies in Total Eclipse. Was this a card that people ran? Like, I mean zombies, obviously. This card sucked. This was an F tier card, one of the worst cards in the entire game because it was a 4 cost 2/2 and it conjures 2 completely useless cards. Oh, now it was overpowered, guys. It needs to be a 4 cost 1/1. Okay, look, Bean Counter went from F tier to G tier. I don't know what the hell is going on. Why did the... I want to know why the devs did this. I want to know the rationality behind making Bean Counter a 4 cost 1/1. This card, not only was this card not overpowered, this card was not viable. What is this? Okay, Cartillery is a 5/3. Okay. Cartillery, the big problem with it was that it got bungeed really easily. And obviously me playing Z-Mech, I would bungee this like every single time it was played. It would be just like 4 sun down the garbage. So the 3 health does help it a little bit. I like this change. Leaf Blower. Can bounce gravestones as well. Yay! I really don't like grave removal. I think it's too much of a silver bullet. I've never liked grave removal, like grave buster and stuff. I don't like being able to grave bust like 6 cost cards for 2. It's too much of a silver bullet in my opinion. Grave removal like grave buster shouldn't be in the game. I run trick mech without any gravestones, and once in a while I'll just like face guardian heroes which just have like 3 or 4 bricks in their hand, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what those cards are, bro. But I like having versatile grave removal. Like, there's a reason why I like Blockbuster but not Grave Buster. It's because it's not that much of a silver bullet. It's just a solid card which has multiple purposes. So, I like Leaf Blower now. Yeah, I like it. Nothing else really to say about this. So, Navy Bean, a little bit of a buff. Okay, still not gonna be good, but it buffs all amphibious plants, so I guess we're doing amphibious synergy now. The issue is the 4 cost. The issue is not the 2/2. I mean, it would be a 3/3, but now it would be a 4/4. That's not the issue. I think this should be 3 cost 2/2, buffs all plants. I mean, not all plants, all amphibious plants. But who knows? It looks like they're going for an amphibious meta. Obviously, a lot of like the Smarty cards that have been buffed are amphibious cards, so we'll see, right? We'll see. Navy Bean, 3/3. Oh, I just looked at that. Snapdragon is amphibious. Why? Like, what is it? This is not a card that you want to play in the water lane because it has splash damage. Like, you want to play this in lanes 2 or 3. This is... What, you're gonna hit something in lane 4 after the attack phase where it already dealt its damage to your face? I don't understand this. I mean, I guess the difference is that it gets buffed by Bog. I don't get it, man. In PVZ2, isn't this a card that you can't play in the water anyway? I'm not sure. That'd be funny. But yeah, this is kind of just like a nothing change. Whatever. Melon Pullet as a 3/5, love it. I think this already should have been a 3/5. Winter Melon. Freezes a zombie on play as well. Okay. I think that Winter Melon was an underrated card. I think it should just, instead of having the when played freeze a zombie ability, I think it should just have a 6th health. I don't like the when played freeze a zombie cards. Like there's too many of them. They're kind of redundant, and they're unbalanced in that in some matches they're overpowered, in some matches they do absolutely nothing, 0. And now Winter Melon is just one of them. I think the splash damage freeze was solid, and it should have just been a 6/4/6 or 6/5/6 even. Alright, Solar. Hunted Pumpkin is now a 4/1 instead of a 4/2. Like, what? Why are we doing this? Was Haunted Pumpkin really that good of a card? I don't think so. Because you play this on 1, and it gets answered by basically every single card in the game. Pretty much every zombie hero, pretty much every superpower that every zombie hero has answers this. But now it just has 1 health, so what, it dies to Fire Rooster now, I guess? And Trapper, and you can't trade it against Space Time. Like, why is this worse? This card was already not good, in my opinion. A lot of people thought it was very good. Fry 'em Up, for example. Which is like, okay, the game devs love Fry 'em Up, I guess. Because they're just listening to him. I mean, this is part of the Aggro Solar Flare, right? The best deck in the game by far. The most overpowered deck ever. Everyone was like, oh my god, I'm dying so hard to Aggro Solar Flare. Please nerf these cards. Haunted Pumpkin does not need 1 health. This card was not good. It was fine. It's not good. It's B tier, in my opinion. The card disadvantage is already a problem with aggro, and it would just make it worse, usually. I think if you're gonna nerf this card, you have to make the monsters it conjures better, or you can make it conjure a monster that costs 4 or less, so it doesn't conjure, like, Deep Sea Guard, what's the other one? Gas Giant, Cryo Yeti, I guess. So if you were gonna nerf that card, I think it should be conjures a monster that costs 4 less. It would still be able to conjure like Ancient Vampire and stuff, but it doesn't need a stats nerf. Come on. Oh gosh, this is bad. Apple Saucer got a nerf. Why? Okay. Sorry, had to clear my throat for a second. Apple Saucer was a good card. It was a very good card. Very solid card. We do not need to be nerfing solid cards. Solid cards are good, alright? It was a versatile card, has strike through turn 6 and later. Good stats. I like it. Nobody thought Apple Saucers was overpowered. It was one of the most balanced cards in the game, to be honest, and it's now nerfed to have 1 health, which means it... The 1 health versus 2 really does make kind of a difference sometimes. Like, for example, you can't positively trade this into, like, Conman, Headstone Carver. Fire Rooster kills it. Fire Rooster is not a card that a lot of people run, but I run it in some of my decks. Like, HGG, I have some Conjure deck that actually runs Fire Rooster. I think it's an incredibly underrated card, Fire Rooster, and now it's made even better. But I don't think that this needs to be happening. I don't think this needs to be happening. I don't think we need to be nerfing Apple Saucer. It was very balanced, and now it's worse. Winter balloons. Not winter balloons, water balloons. Wow, I'm really tripping over my freaking words. 2/2 at base, and 3/3 if you make 6 or more sun. Cannot target amphibious zombies now. Okay. I think that solar has enough removal as it is. I don't think water balloons needs to even be in the game, to be honest. But if you're gonna change water balloons, this is a fine change. Alright, Sunstrike. The Reddit post that I'm looking at says Sunstrike has been reworked. No, Sunstrike has not been reworked, Sunstrike has been removed. The only similar thing is the animation and what class it's in. Why did we remove Sunstrike? Alright, look. It doesn't cost the same. It has a completely different ability. It doesn't give strike through. Why did we remove Sunstrike? Seriously. Sunstrike was, what, overpowered? It was a slightly below average win condition, which was fun. These are the cards that should be in the game. Sunstrike is a card that should be in the game. Slightly below average win condition, that is fun. There's nothing wrong with that. This does not need to be removed. Of the cards that need to be removed, there are plenty of cards that should be removed. For example, Huke, very unfair card. Doomshroom, very unfair card. These 2 cards are not overpowered, but they are unfair, and they are not fun to play or fun to play against. Sunstrike is the opposite of this. It should be in the game. These other cards should not be in the game. Alright, now looking at this new card. Cross-pollination. Conjure a flower, conjure a fruit. They both cost 1 less. Okay, the flower tribe is good. The fruit tribe is meh. I mean, I guess you can get like DMD from this. Card draw with solar is... Solar has a little bit of card draw with like Taco and stuff. Not very much. I think card draw should be in a different class. There's really no reason that this should be in the solar class except for, I guess, like Briar Rose, which is a solar card. I don't think this is going to be a card that's going to get a lot of use. I don't... Look, I like card draw being for plants as well, but 3 cost conjure 2 cards is not going to be very good. Okay. Color me skeptical. I think they should add Sunstrike back in, obviously, but I'm kind of skeptical of this new card. Magnifying Grass, 02 instead of 01. Good change, I like it. Venus Flytrap, 3-1 instead of 2-2. Good change, I like it. It just makes it a little bit better. I don't like that it's another card in heal decks, because I think heal decks are very oppressive already. So this kind of buffs them, but the card in and of itself needed a buff, and this is a good card for the buff in itself. Elderberry. I mean, it's an aggro solar flare, so you have to nerf it, right? You have to nerf every single card in aggro solar flare, except for the card that is actually overpowered, and that's Berry Blast. Like, what? Elderberry, the only good thing about Elderberry is it was a solid finisher, alright? Was not overpowered by any means, solid. And the appeal of it over a card such as, like, Astrocado, is that it has 4 health. It can't be lightning bolted. 3 health versus 4 against zombies is a big difference, but now it just is a 5/3 bolt magnet, and you sacrifice a card. What? I mean, they didn't nerf Astrocado, right? Which was already a much better card, because Astrocado is not in budget aggro solar flare, and the PVZ Heroes dev, the PopCat dev, clicked on the video called the best budget deck for beginners by Prime Up, and Astrocado's not in it because it's not a budget card. And they were like, oh my god, Elderberry's in this deck, so it must be overpowered as hell because aggro solar flare is the best deck in the entire freaking game. This is not good. I really hope they revert this, otherwise Elderberry is going to be a completely dead card. I basically never used Elderberry, but I respected Elderberry for being a 4/5/4. With the drawback being the evolution. I don't think the drawback should also be the health. This is just way worse than Astrocado now. Okay, it costs 1 less sun, but Astrocado has the Conjure. Astrocado can be played dry. It doesn't require you to sacrifice a card. Not good. Not good, fellas. Cob Cannon. 4/6 instead. I honestly think this can be nerfed even more to be like a 4/4. One of the best, most oppressive cards in the entire game. Nerfing the attack doesn't change really how good this card is for utility. This is still going to be a very good card, but it's not also going to be able to just take over the game and win. You know what I mean? So I think this is a very good change. I think did I say Astrocado before? I think Cob Cannon as a just pure control card is a good idea. And the 4/6 is also still pretty sturdy, so I like this change. Laser Beam. Oh man. Where is it? Here it is. This is very scary. This was a 5/7 before, right? So I guess the health is nerfed, but like, as zombies, you're not really going to be doing 5 damage anyway. You're mostly going to be fruitcaking this. Unless Fruitcake was nerfed to deal 5 damage, which I'm not sure, I don't remember. Very scary, because like now, it was a 5/7, but now it's at 6 cost, it's going to be a 6/5 strike through, so it's going to have more attack, and the longer the game goes on, the more attack it's going to have. So I can see like a Chompzilla ramp deck with this and like plant food and stuff. Interesting. I'm not sure. I think Laser Beam was a very underrated card, and this is making it better. Like, the issue with this card is that it, at first glance, it might kind of look like a nerf. I think I'm scared of this card being very, very overpowered, but we'll have to see. Alright, now let's look at the plant heroes. More Spore. Lets you choose one of the lanes the button shroom is in. Okay. Okay. More Spore was one of the worst superpowers in the game, if not the worst. So I like it kind of being buffed. The randomness, like, if you're trying to take down a 1 health zombie minion with More Spore and you just miss, it is so sad. I always felt bad when I was playing, like, some like Z-Mech deck, and my opponent would try and More Spore a teacher, which I actually was bluffing, kind of having a buff for in my hand, and it just missed the teacher or like the genetic on turn 1, and that would be very sad. So this makes it a little bit better. It makes Solar Flare overall a little bit more well-rounded, but this, oh my freaking god, look how they massacred my girl. This is horrendously bad. Oh. I mean, you have to nerf aggro Solar Flare, right? Every single Solar Flare card we have to nerf now, because aggro Solar Flare is the best deck in the game, 100% win rate. The reason Solar Flare was a solid hero was, in fact, because of Sunburn. This is so bad. It went from being one of the best superpowers in the game, like, and it wasn't even like overpowered best. It was like one of the top 5, I think, in my opinion, to being like probably the worst ultimate ability. Like, what are we doing? 2 damage, you get +2 sun this turn, which means +1 on the net, which is basically nothing. I mean, you can play Seedling turn 1, guys. What? Like, the +2 sun is kind of misleading because this itself costs 1, so you just get +1 net sun. Barely does anything. The +1 sun for the rest of the game is just way better. This is a humongous nerf. Also, if you get this off the block, it just, the +2 sun ability does absolutely nothing, and it's just a Sig for 2 damage, which is absolute trash. I don't know why they did this. I hope they revert this. I'm not a Solar Flare player, but I really hope they revert this. Look, you guys, I hope you guys can tell that I'm not just saying this, like, out of some kind of bias, because I'm a Trick Mech main, like a zombie main, and Sunburn was basically, like, the bane of my existence, because it removes your turn 1 play unless it's Conman, and it, like, your opponent has an advantage for the rest of the game, which your opponent having an advantage for the rest of the game was kind of rough, but it was still playable, you know? You wouldn't win the game because you played Sunburn, typically. Sunburn was not overpowered. This does not need to be nerfed like this. The +2 sun effect does essentially nothing, and it actually does nothing if you get it during the blocks phase. Very, very bad. Very sad day for Solar Flare. I mean, More Spore's a little better, but, you know. Ensign Uproot. Ensign Uproot, I think. It's this one, right? It's amphibious now, so, you know. If you want to play this in the water lane, I think this could be good, to be honest. I think having this in the water lane would be a massive pain in the ass for zombies. Like, a 1-cost amphibious that deals 2 damage and has an ability, I think is going to be good. I think this is what Beta Carotene kind of needs, because, like, unless you have amphibious zombies in your deck, you're going to need to use a removal on this, and I think that that's, like, the main good thing about this is that you have to use a removal on it, and with the amphibious synergy also. So, yeah, I like this change. The 1 health doesn't really give it a drawback, aside, like, it dies to, I don't know, Z-Mech Sig. But it's a 1-cost superpower, and I really like this change, to be honest. Alright, Beta Carotene Sig now gives 2-1 instead of 1-1. Okay, I mean... Let's go, guys! No more 1-9 water chestnuts. Now we have 2-9 water chestnut. Actually, that's kind of a big difference for water chestnut, but it's just not good enough, I think. I think this just needs to put the... I think it just needs to put the plant on the field. Or, I think it should be kind of like Reincarnation, where you just have it in your hand as the plant, and it changes every single turn, but it also has Amphibious Team Up, and it changes between 2-cost plants. I think that would be interesting. Obviously, then it would need to lose its 1-1 buff, or now it's 2-1 buff. I don't think the 2-1 really does a lot. So, next time we're going to be talking about the zombie changes, but yeah, otherwise, these changes range from being okay to being good to being horrendously bad. I mean, like, we're nerfing Zapricot and we're nerfing Bean Counter to a 1-1. I wish that these changes were reverted. I wish I could undo the update on my computer. Also, another thing that I'm really worried about is, you guys know how I, like, posted daily challenges? What about the puzzle parties? Because these balance changes are going to make a lot of the puzzle parties probably unplayable, and we still have unsolvable puzzle parties from the last balance change, like, 5 years ago. So, what, like, every single puzzle party is now going to be unsolvable? Y'all are going to unsubscribe from my YouTube channel? I'm still going to try. I have no faith whatsoever that the devs are going to be able to make the puzzle parties balanced again. I think they're just going to leave it and just have every single puzzle party be unsolvable, and that's going to be really sad. And I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm going to quit the game over this, but I think this update overall is a net negative. There are some things that should have been updated in this game, like Triceratops should be nerfed, like Cuke and Doomshroom should be removed, Click Peas should be nerfed, other stuff like that. I think some balance changes were welcome, but this is just not it. Some of them are good. I think that the cards that have been buffed from garbage tier to being barely playable are not going to see that much use anyway. And I think the main thing that this buffs actually is Molecule on the plant side, because now your cards are not going to be actual trash. They're going to be like worst case scenario below average. No more 5-cost 3/3s, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I think this is a net negative. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time for these zombies, which I have not looked at. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day, and I hope you have fun in ladder, because I'm definitely not having fun in ladder at all with my 1-cost puff shroom. Yeah, I played Combos in ladder, and I lost like all the games. Not really because of Black Eyed Pea. I played a game against not Tell-Imps, against a deck which was running this Mustache guy. This Mustache Evolution 3/3 is so freaking broken. 3-cost 6/5. Are you freaking kidding me? Duckstash was an underrated card. It was very good. Duckstash was very solid, in my opinion. The +1/1 buff to an already very solid card is game breaking. You can no longer like double banana bomb this. Unreal. I don't know what the janitor at PopCap is thinking. But yeah, hopefully overall the zombie changes are going to be better than the plant ones. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, y'all.